Okay, today we're actually going to take the next step. We're going from ratios. Now we're going to go to rates. Again, remember your definitions. What was a ratio? Right in? Awesome. A comparison of two numbers by division. A rate is a ratio, so a comparison of two numbers by division, that includes and compares two different types of units. So what is the big difference? We're now actually worried about the units. So when we talk about rates, those units are what makes a rate. So you must include the units that are being compared. Now within rates, we've got a couple special ones we'll talk about. A unit rate is basically where I get a denominator of 1. In other words, whatever the number or the ratio piece is, I'm just going to divide by whatever the denominator is to get that down to just one number. Guess what, guys? Decimals. So we'll be doing decimals today. But we always have 2 units. So a unit rate is a denominator of 1. I'm going to just have one number and 2 units. A unit price is a specialized unit rate where we're talking specifically about how much someone costs. So normally in a unit rate, we're going to have dollars per something. So it's going to tell us how much we're paying for one of something. That's going to allow us to compare. I'll be honest, guys, I literally do this every time I go to the commissary or the BX because I'm cheap, and I try to get the most out of my money. Miss McShann could even tell you I don't get a whole lot of money. I'm on a very tight budget from my wife, so money makes. I try to get as much out of my money as I can. Understanding unit price will help you do that because you're able to quickly find the best deal around. So in a unit price, it's a specialized unit rate. How much of something you get for $1, or you can also say how much of one unit, how many dollars does one unit of something cost. So you can look at unit price in either of those ways. We're going to walk through 3 different ways of getting to rates, guys, and solving. But I'll be quite frank, we're going to focus most on the way number 3 because it has the most applicability. In other words, we're going to be able to use it for additional things that we'll be doing as we continue down through the year. So the good news is we don't have a lot to add to this today. Our first way is solving rate problems. The way we're going to do this, you set up the rate by writing the initial ratio with the units listed in that order. So once again, we're going to translate directly from English to math, keep it in order just like we did with the ratios. You then need to simplify the number portion as much as possible. Divide both numbers by the denominator will get you down to a unit rate. If you're doing a comparison, you can actually just simplify as much as possible using your 4 key numbers. Who remembers our 4 key numbers? Thank you. 2, 3, 5, 7. Since only one person seemed to know it, let's add that up here into your notes, guys. We'll keep adding that until you guys can all recite them from memory. Everybody should know those. I should have more than just Diana giving me those answers. Okay, once you've simplified as much as possible to make the math easier, then you can just cross multiply. Give you a hint, go from denominator to numerator and write it on the numerator side. That will tell you which side is larger. But at the very least, it will allow you to compare those. The second way, and this is the engageny New York method, is called eliminating units. On this one, when you write the initial rate, you're actually going to be conscientious of the one I'm getting rid of. So you'll see this a lot when we're doing unit conversions. The one you're going to eliminate goes on the bottom. Why? Because when you use the unit conversion, you're now going to put the unit you're getting rid of on top. That's going to allow those to cancel out. So whatever is left is going to tell you what the answer will be. Okay, the unit, by having one on top, one on bottom, now becomes 1, so that can be crossed out. Here's your big deal, guys. Because we are doing rates, rates is all about comparing units. So guess what? Your answer must have units on it. If all you have is a number, you're not getting full credit. Your units matter. So make sure you are writing your units down. Now our third way, and the reason I like this, guys, is as we continue on into proportions and percents, literally are like our next 2 modules, this method is going to be usable all the way through these. So if we can start getting you used to this now, it should make what we're going to be doing in the future even easier for you. The methodology is much the same as what we've just seen. We're going to start by writing the rate as a fraction, including your units. And that's really important. You're then just going to put an equal sign. You then draw a division bar, and you can write those units down just like they are on the first rate. Now, they must always give you a third piece of information. If they don't, you can't solve it. The good thing about having all of your units written down is it's going to tell you exactly where you're going to write the next number. Once you have the two numbers, you're going to take a look at them, and here's where the magic box gets in. You're going to write a little box right above your equal sign. I look at the two numbers that are across from each other, and I figure out, how do I get from one to the other? Quick hint, when we are doing these types of proportional things, it will always be multiplication and division. It will never be addition, subtraction. Okay? So when you're looking at it, think, how do I go multiplying or dividing from one number to the other? You write that into your box, including which operation you're doing, division or multiplication. Then you do that same thing on the top. It will give you your answer, including the units. And if you already wrote the units down beforehand, you've already got the units all set. Okay? Questions on the notes? I'll be honest, I realize they probably don't make as much sense. So let's go into the module and do some problems that's going to help you understand what all this means. So go ahead and open up. You're actually going to go backwards to page 67, because your notes should have been written across from page 76. Because we skipped lesson 17, we're going all the way back to the start of lesson 16. Okay, our big deal today. Here's what we're doing. Rates can be transformed, ratios, can be transformed into rates and unit rates. So this is what I do when I go to the store. I do what we call comparison shopping. I look at the different products and I say, which one am I going to get for the least amount? Sometimes when they're doing sales, you've got to do some math. So, for example, Diet Cola was on sale last week. It cost $10 for every 4 packs of Diet Cola. So how much do 2 packs of Diet Cola cost? There's our question. Here's how we set this up. Ready? You following along? Are you even on the right page? Right? Okay. When we set this up, it's just like we've been doing, guys. We're going to go right in the order that it's written. In this case, it's 10 for every 4. So just as we've been doing ratios, it's going to be exactly the same, right? Here is the difference with rates. In a ratio, that's all I would do. But now, because we're doing rates, we're also going to include the units right in what we call the ratio. Here's how easy this is. If you'll just do an equal sign, another bar in the box above the equal sign, I now write down the units. In this case, it was dollars and packs. I am now set up to be successful. How hard was that work to do, guys? Is there anything I've done so far complex? Am I really asking you to do a whole lot of stuff? No, but watch how easy this will make this. They had to give me a third piece of information. What was it? Emma? 2 packs. Because I've already got my units written down, I know exactly where that 2 goes, don't I? Because where's the packs? On the bottom. So that's where my 2 goes, because it's 2 packs. Now, for my magic box, all I got to do is say, how did I go from 4 to 2? Remember, it's always multiplication or division. Lucena? Divided it by 2. So guess what I'm doing to the 10? So I get? The nice thing is, I also already have my units. So we're not quite done because it's a word problem, so we still need to answer in a full sentence. But 2 packs will cost $5. See how easy this can be, guys? And if you will write out the work and do what we're asking, it literally will be this simple. So how much does 1 pack of Diet Cola cost? So now we're going to start the exact same way. So I've got $10 and 4 packs equals, and I just write it out, dollar pack, my magic box. That third piece of information I'm now finding is 1 pack. So where does that one go? On the bottom, because it goes with the packs. How do I go from 4 to 1? Divide by 4. So guess what I do to the 10? 10 divided by 4. So just to make sure all of you know how to do this, let's just walk through it together. So to divide 4 by 10, 4 will go into 10 twice. Subtract 8. I'm not at 0 yet, am I? But I'm out of numbers. So what do? Big key. For those of you who didn't hear Ayana, she said 0.0. So I need to add my decimal. Mr. Moore hint, as soon as I add that decimal there, move it straight up into your answer so you don't forget it. Because that decimal stays right in that spot. And now I can add another 0. Now I can bring that 0 down. 4 goes into 25 times. I'm now at 0, so I'm done, right? Yes. However, because we're talking about money, American money, how many decimal places do we have in American money? 2, 0, yep. So I have to add the 0. So it's $2.50 per pack. So my answer is 1 pack would cost $2.50. Which our commissary is actually a pretty good price. So this is the kind of sale I would probably be buying 8.
When I wrote it, I put diet.
I'm still happy.
I put diet Coke as well because so that I know what I'm eating.
Not bad. Okay, so let's do another one. We'll do this one together just because I feel it's a little more difficult just to do exploratory. We'll do exploratory on the next page. So Tegan went to Gamer Realm to buy a new video game. Gamer Realm was having a sale. $65 for 4 video games. He bought 3 games for himself and 1 game for his friend Diego. But Tegan does not know how much Diego owes him for that 1 game. What is the unit price of the video game? And what is the rate unit? So Engage New York likes to break these two apart. Ms. McShannon and I have talked. We don't really care to break them apart. We just want you to understand unit rate. But what they're saying here is unit price is the number. Rate unit is what are the units. So we'll just say that so it's been covered, but don't stress about it. Now we're going to start by setting it up. So what was that initial rate they gave us? $65. And? Good. Perfect. Thank you. So setting it up is easy, guys. $65 for video games. I can immediately go in my equal sign, my fraction bar, put in my units on the other side, and throw the magic box above the equal sign. Is any of this difficult? So now here is the key. What was the third piece of information they gave us? What are we trying to find? Sean? How many?
3 games.
What does he really want to know, though? Avi? Sophie? The unit price. Unit price means my denominator is 1, meaning I want my denominator, the one on the bottom, to be a 1. So how do I go from 4 to 1? Divide by 4. That's what goes in my magic box. Now I just take the 65, divide it by 4. 4 goes into 6 once. Gives me a 2. Bring down the 5. That's going to go 6 times. 24 gives me a 1. I'm not at 0 yet, so what do? Add the decimal and the 0 again, right? Again, when I add the decimal here, make sure you bring it up into your top as well, guys. So now I have another 0 to bring down. That's going to go twice. Still not at 0, so I can now add another 0 since I'm on the other side of the decimal place. Now it's going to go 5 times. So what was it? Can we now answer our question? What is the unit price? So So the unit price is $16.25. Okay. Now, just for the record, your rate unit is dollars per game, or dollars per video game. Questions on what we've covered so far, guys? Yes, Emma. Because after I did the 2, I still had 2 left. So then I added another 0, so 4 goes into 20 the 5 times. Any other questions? Okay, let's turn the page. We're going to let you guys do this page together to let you see, show us that you did it. Do you understand this? I'm going to do an example that will probably hopefully make this easier for you. So what is the ratio of the 2 quantities for Andre's portion? What is the associated rate? So again, remember, a ratio compares what?
Oh, 2 divided.
What does a ratio compare? Which? Those are different, Ayana. What does a ratio compare? Nora? 2 numbers. So the Andre's ratio tells me I'm just looking at the numbers. So I look at his numbers, 208, and this is kind of just a more thing. If you wanted to write it as a ratio, you could. I prefer doing it in this format as a fraction, because for me it makes it easier to simplify. When do we simplify? When do we simplify, guys? Always. Unless you are specifically told not to, or you're looking for a specific number at that ratio, you always simplify. So, here again, your 4 key numbers come in, 2, 3, 5, 7. So I look at this, I say, oh, I can divide both those by 2. Now, some of you may see that you can divide those by 4 right away. If you want to, feel free. I'll be honest, half the time it's easier to do 2 because 2 is very easy to divide by. So that becomes 104 over 2, which I now know I can divide by 2 again. Gets me 52 over 1. So what is the ratio? 52 over 1. So the ratio always has 2 numbers. In a rate, now I simplify the number portion. So 52 over 1 becomes 52. But with a rate, I have to have my units. So they gave us the units right here. What was on top? Miles. What was on the bottom? I'm not down to 1, so it's miles per hour. Does this make sense? Okay. See if you guys can figure out the rest of the page. So we're going to do these other ones. Let's take a look. And we're really going to focus in on making these simplifying because we're having a lot of people that are still struggling on the simplifying. So Mateo's ratio, he starts at 456 over 8. Now, as we talked about in the very first set of notes, the first one we showed you is to go to unit rate. All I'm going to do is divide by my denominator. So if you wanted, you could divide by 8. But I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, I'm really good at math, believe it or not. And for me, it's actually easier to take the extra steps and divide this by 2. Why? Because dividing by 2 is super easy. Mr. Shan?
Yeah, except you had one of them confused about that. When they had a 3, they tried to divide by 2, and that didn't work, just so you know. They're like, but you can't divide 3 by 2.
No, that's why you move to the next key number, which is 3.
Then you need to explain that. You just said you divide by 2 every time.
The 4 key numbers every time. Is that better? So we check our 4 key numbers every time. In this case, 8, I could divide by 8, but I'm going to go by 2. So that becomes 2. It's going to go twice into 5 with 1 left over, makes that 16. 228. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Still not at 1, so I can do by 2 again. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 2 once, into 8 4 times. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Still not at 1, so I have one more step. Divide by 2 again, goes into 11 5 times with 1 left over, makes that 14. 57 over 1. So what is his rate? Or his ratio? 57 over 1. Now when we move to rate, I take the ratio in simplified form, 57 over 1, And now I just write it as one number, 57. The key on rate is I need to include my units. That's miles over hour. Okay? Our next one. For Janae, 306. Now, in this case, for me, I immediately see 6 goes into 30. Right? So do I need to do other ones? I don't, so I'm going to actually just do this in one step, also to show you can. So 6 goes into 35, and then into 0. Don't forget that second number, 0 times. So now, again, that's the rate, or the ratio. So for the rate, I turn that into one number. And now for the rate, I include my units. Then we do Grayson. Grayson's our last one on the chart. 265 and 5. So it goes into 265. I'm going to divide by 5. It's going to go 5, and then gives me a 1 left over for 15, so 3 times. There's my ratio. The rate, I again now turn that into just a single number, but I now include the units. Now, how many of you are getting messed up by the fact that I am doing this type of math mentally? Would you prefer to see it worked out? Sean? Okay, so all I did is I did this mentally. I said, okay, I've got 265 divided by 5. So in my mind, I said, how many times will 5 go into 26? 5 times. Now in my mind, I said, okay, that's 25, means I have 1 left over, right? Then I have to put the other 5 behind it, because I still have to take care of that. So that now made it 15. So in my mind, I said, okay, now I've got 5 going into 15. How many times will that go? 3. And I said, okay, well, that's 15, so now I don't have anything left. I just did it mentally because it's only one number, one digit, versus writing it down. But it's the same concept. Okay? That takes practice, guys, but if you'll practice that, especially your single-digit division, it should become easier for you. Now, that being said, if you don't know your multiplication facts, this isn't going to work for you, especially your 7s. The 7s are the ones that will kill you guys. Okay? You get to know your division or your multiplication facts. Now, for this one, we'll do this, but Miss McShann and I are not going to stress on this. So, circle the unit rate and put a box around the rate unit. So, here's the unit rate. The rate unit is this piece. Okay? We just want you to do the whole thing together. So, don't stress about the individual pieces. When we say unit rate, we really want this whole thing. Any questions on this page? Okay, let's turn the page. Actually, the bell is just about to ring, so we'll pick this one up after lunch. How many of you are able to finish this one? Raise your hand. Ooh, that's not looking good. Did you raise your hand? So let's look at it again. Marking your text, writing out everything in the problems will make this far easier for you. So, publishing company is looking for a new employees to type novels that would soon be published. Publishing company wants to find someone who can type at least 45 words per minute. Dominique discovered she can type at a constant rate of 704 words in 16 minutes. Does Dominique type at a fast enough rate to qualify for the job? There's our question. And explain why or why not. So they actually gave us our rate right away, right? 45 words per minute. But then they said she does 704 words in 16 minutes. So that's really where we're going to start. And this might be part of what confused everybody, was trying to figure out how to get down to that. If you will write out your units on your magic box, this shouldn't be hard. What are we trying to compare to? 45 words per minute. So I want to get my minute down to 1. How do I go from 16 to 1? Divide by 16. There's our magic box. So all I'm doing is taking my 704, dividing by 16. That's going to go 4 times 64. Gives us a 6. Bring down to 4. We just did that. 64. So she does 44 words per minute. Is she fast enough? Nope. Not quite. I did like the enthusiasm, though, JJ. No, that was good. Enthusiasm in math. Good things. So, unfortunately, she does not. So, no, she missed it by 1 word per minute. So, the good news is, no, technically they wouldn't. They want 45. So, when you're doing a 40-hour week, 1 word per minute adds up a lot. Okay? So, that is all we're doing on this. Let's turn to the next page. This is your first page of homework. So I'll just give you a couple hints. First hint, what they're really wanting is the better deal. In other words, which one costs less per pound. So they gave me 2 numbers. Sorry, guys, Engage New York, they made numbers that aren't so great. So just realize when I'm dealing with money, if I go to my 3rd decimal place, that will allow me to round to the 2nd. So that's all we're asking. Go to 3 decimal places on that one. That one actually rounds out easily, so don't worry about that one. What I don't like about the next one is they actually reverse the rate on you. So remember how we talked about dollars per something? This one, they gave it to you as pounds per dollar. If you'll just switch that around when you do your work, do it as dollars per pound. That's LB, not 16. So if you'll set it up as dollars per pound, this isn't a hard one to do. Okay? Sean? Uh-huh. No, you have to do both of them. So the first part, what's the unit price? In other words, take them both down to 1 pound. And then the second part, where should they go? So that we're asking you to compare those two and tell me which one is the better deal. Okay? Okay, we're going to skip 17, so let's go to lesson 18. You'll find this starting on page 76, right next to where we wrote our notes for today. Okay, everybody on page 76? Sorry, got to take the mask off. Okay, at Funburger, the Burger Master can make hamburgers at a rate of 4 burgers per minute. In order to address the heavy volume of customers, he needs to continue this rate for 30 minutes. If he continues to make hamburgers at this pace, how many hamburgers will he make in 30 minutes? There's our question. This sets up just like every other one we're going to work on today, guys. Put the rate down. They gave it to us as 4 burgers per minute. Immediately do your equals, write burgers, minute, draw your magic box. You are now set up for success. Is that a lot of work to do? Is there anyone who feels we're asking you to do too much? That's too much, Jonah? Okay. Why do we ask you to do this? Because if you'll do this, finding that 3rd piece of information and putting it in the right place should be extremely easy. Okay? What was the 3rd piece of information they gave us? Sean? 30 minutes. So am I going to put the 30 up here? No. Why? Because that's burgers. And if you've written down the units, you know that's not where that goes. You know it goes here. So now for our magic box, all we have to do is figure out, how did I go from 1 to 30? Times 30. So now I take the 4, I multiply by 30, and I get 120. So that's it. Then we have to answer the question, so he can make 120 burgers. Because we always need to answer the question as a full sentence when we're doing word problems, right? Did we do everything we needed to? Micah? Did I miss something? I was sure you guys were talking about what I missed back there. Is that what you're talking about? Wow, Aaron, I'm shocked. Yes, now your names are on video, so I can write your parents too. Okay, let's do our next one. Do we have time? No, we don't have time. We're going to skip this one because I want you guys to turn the page. We want to give you guys some practice. Your page should look like this. A whole bunch of empty boxes. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to give you guys a chance to practice this. We have a series of exercises. We want you guys to figure them out. So here's a really difficult question. I'm about to show you the first problem. Which box should you put it in? Whoa, that makes sense. Holy cow. Gosh, we do ask hard things in this class. Wow. I'm glad you guys were able to figure that one out, though. So that gives me hope for our future. Now, here's the fun part. You only have 1 minute. Oh, no. I forgot to erase it. There you go.
That's all.
Okay, so let's look at it, guys. They can type 52 words per minute. If she continues at this rate, how much in 4 minutes? So start with the rate. Be sure you write down the units. 52 words per minute. That means 1. If you guys will just write this down, just like I'm doing right now, this should be easy. What's that third piece of evidence they gave us? 4 minutes. So I put the 4 with the minutes. How do I go 1 to 4? Times 4. I do 52 times 4, I get 208. How long did that take me to write down, even with explanations? 7 seconds? 10 seconds, maybe? Again, are we asking you to do a lot? No. Here's what's going to irritate me. I'm just going to warn you guys up front, because unfortunately I have students who did this today even after I warned them. So this really irritates me that some of you who have good number sense refuse to do all of this work we're asking you. I say that jokingly. And all they want to do is this. And that's the only work I see on their paper. So guess what happened on the quiz? So I will warn you guys right now. I made this next quiz personally. And I made this quiz because I was irritated at the people that refused to do any more than this. So guess what happened on the quiz? I made hard numbers. So if you don't write them out, you're going to end up putting numbers in the wrong spot, or even better, you're not going to know what to do, and you're going to fail, because guess what? If you will just do this right here on the test, on the quiz, you get half credit even if your answer is wrong, because you set it up correctly. The guys who did this, guess how much credit they get? 0. So this makes the difference between a 0% F and a 50% F. Actually, now that Ms. McShann and I are on the same page, you won't get a 0, but you'll probably get half credit. All these questions will probably be 1 point for the work and 1 point for the answer, because we want you to understand how to set these up to help you be successful as we move forward. Again, this is literally just the first step, guys. Rates, what we're doing right now is our first step to proportions, which is where the math really starts to get difficult, and you have to understand the concept. So if you'll practice it now, it's going to make the proportions easier. Okay, so another pop quiz. Where am I going to put the next problem?
In the second box.
Wow, second box. You guys are nailing it. Here you go. 1 minute. Okay, on this one, again, here's our rate, 48 miles an hour. So I'll write that down. Equals, just draw your thing. Miles, hour, magic box. What was our other number? 2 hours. Dang, I got it. 1 to 2, what did I do? Multiply by 2, 96. See how easy this is? If you will show the work literally makes this almost a no-brainer for you guys. Okay, we'll do one more. Okay, you have 1 minute. Okay, guys, quiet down. Last one. He runs 9 miles a day. There's my initial rate. 9 miles a day, that's 1, equals, I go miles, day, magic box, and I figure out it is 30 days. Surprise, surprise, it goes on the bottom. That's where days is. 1 to 30 times 30 times 9 gives me 270 miles. Make sense? Okay, I hope so. Go ahead and turn the page. Actually, you guys are on the next page. So if you want to do those at home, feel free. There's the next 3 you could have done. Please be quiet. Okay, here is how they wanted us to teach this to you. If you want to try to replicate that for yourself, feel free. There are advantages to it. I used to actually prefer this way till Miss Caruana, my partner before Miss McShann, really helped me on the magic box. But now that I fully understand that, I really think that's better for you. So here's the good news. $17 per hour. That gives me my initial ratio, right? Then all I'm going to do is 2, 1 for this problem, 1 for this problem. This is not multiple choice. We do both of those. Our next one, I'll give you a hint. It's actually easier if you'll start with this. They gave you the rate. They gave you how long. Figure out how much they actually pump, and then compare it to this to determine whether or not they got it filled up or not. Okay? So basically, do all of the rate work first, then compare to what was needed. What I'm telling you is this number will not appear in your rates at all. That's just for comparison once you get done. Okay? Only 2 pages, really easy. Big key, guys.